Welcome, brothers. Today we're going to be talking about the 4 types of players in the Porn Reboot game. Now, before I get into today's video, I'm going to preface this by saying that I'm not a big sports fan, and I'm warning you now because I'm going to be using some examples from playing sports in this video. And if you're a big sports fan, you might think it's a terrible comparison, so have mercy on me, okay? I'm going to go through with it.
In the YouTube app, go to Notifications and turn on Subscriptions. In the settings, go to Notifications and scroll to the YouTube app and allow notifications.
Now, just as with every sport, you get another shot at your reboot every morning that you wake up, right? Until you rewire your brain. Actually, you get opportunities throughout the day, every day, to stack up wins. You're always in the game. I tell every single new client of mine that I will never quit on you until you quit on yourself. So as long as you're in the game, right, you might lose one game here, you might lose another game, the other team might win, but as long as you're still in the game, I will never quit on you. And that's the difference between me and everyone else out there. That's the difference between the coaches in the Porn Reboot system and everyone else out there. So let's talk about the 4 types of guys. The first I call the critic. Now, the critic is the first type of player in the reboot game, okay? And this kind of guy is he's the guy always throwing shade from the stands. He's always disagreeing with whatever's going on. He's yelling at the players. He's arguing with the referees. He's complaining about one thing or the other the entire time, but he's not actually in the game. And when it comes to rebooting, these are the guys who judge other men trying to end their out-of-control behavior with pornography. He insists that men who struggle with porn are losers, or they can't get laid, or they're dealing with some sort of deep religious guilt. And he believes that porn addiction isn't a real problem, and men who can't control it are just weak-willed, right? The critic also criticizes the process of your reboot as a whole, right? He watches as you improve other areas of your life, from rebuilding your marriage, to changing your diet, to improving your financial situation, to changing your community. And as you're separating yourself from your old behaviors, he's always on the sidelines trying to drag you down the entire time. Meanwhile, this critic often has his own out-of-control behaviors with pornography, but he's usually in denial and he's convinced that he doesn't have a problem, right? He's too afraid to make moves of his own, so he'll tear you down instead. The critic might not be aware of his issues because it's easier to hide behind this passive-aggressive comments and victim mentality. The second type of player is the cheerleader. And the cheerleader is he's an all-around good guy. You know, he's always rooting for someone else to win. He's always encouraging the players on the field. But similar to the critic though, cheerleaders aren't on the field themselves, but they are much more enjoyable to be around compared to the critic. So although the cheerleader is great at supporting others, he usually doesn't carry the same enthusiasm for himself. So he pushes you to do your best, but he isn't able to internalize that positivity and believe in himself. He's the guy who tells himself that he's not smart or talented enough, or, he's too much for people, right? And this self-doubt keeps him on the sidelines the entire game. Even though he's a positive, fun guy to be around, he wastes his own life watching others go after what he's too scared to try. So while he's terrified of putting himself out there are plenty of guys who aren't as smart or talented as him, but they still surpass him simply because they tried. The next player is the competitor. Now, the competitor is the guy who is a fan of all the motivational videos, the podcasts, the underdog stories, those entrepreneurial rags to riches stories. But unlike the critic and the cheerleader, the competitor actually takes action and gets in the game. The competitor is the one who gets knocked down to the dirt, but he gets back up every single time. And although the competitor has skin in the game, there's still a drawback to being this type of player. See, the problem with the competitor is that he's inspired by that fight against adversity. So it might seem like a motivational place to work from, but it's very easy to get caught up in this place. So instead of finally overcoming his setbacks, he's stuck in them because they're the thing that actually motivate him to work. So the competitor always looks back after years of action, but finds that he has very little to show for it. He's been making moves the entire time, but they don't get him to the place that he wants to be. And the problem is that he plays the game, but he never plays it seriously enough to rewire his brain. He doesn't experience that mindset shift that's necessary to overcome his problems. So there's nothing wrong with fighting adversity, but getting stuck here is a very dangerous thing. So you might have everything it takes to rewire your brain, but there's a final piece of the puzzle that's missing. And until you can escape the mindset of fighting adversity and finally take the driver's seat in your life, you'll stay stuck in that competitor role. The final player is the champion. Now, the champion is the real winner of the reboot game. He's the man who comes out on top and he overcomes his out of control behavior. This is the type of player that you ultimately want to be. See, every champion starts out as a competitor, but not all competitors overcome the adversity mindset to make it to this point. So the difference between competitors and champions is that the competitors focus on adversity, but champions focus on winning. So too many people, they get trapped in the victim mentality and the vicious cycle of always overcoming adversity. They're focused on the grind and the hustle, but there's no timeline, there's no end goal. There's no picture of what it looks like when you win. Now there are plenty of gurus online who build their business on constantly overcoming adversity, but those gurus only build competitors. The Porn Reboot system, on the other hand, builds champions. You're not supposed to stay around us for years. Alright, you're here to overcome your out of control behavior, build new habits, and move on with your life. I don't want you in the program anymore. We kick guys out from the program after 2 years. It happens all the time. I'm like, dude, why are you still here? Well, I'm not comfortable, leaving yet. I want support. I was like, bro, we don't do support groups. You've rewired your brain. Bye. Go find a support group for the next area of your reboot capital, right? Maybe for your health, maybe for your finances. You don't need to be with us for multiple years. So the question I have for you, brother, is which player are you, right? Which role do you occupy? I often find that men start off as critics, then make their way through each role as they work on their reboots. So they begin as cynical critics, move into being the encouraging cheerleader, start fighting back as a competitor, and then discover that they have what it takes to be a champion. And that's exactly what our system does. It's built to help you do that. The Porn Reboot group, the Porn Reboot system, it consists of men leveling up in the world and becoming the champions that they've always been capable of becoming. We want you to become the champion of your life, to take back control of your out of control sexual behaviors.
Whenever you're ready, here are 4 ways that Porn Reboot can help you out for free. The first way is to subscribe to our channel and make sure you click on the notification bell to get a new video every other day. The second way is to get a copy of the free book, Confessions of a Porn Addict, 7 Secrets of Porn-Free Men. You'll learn about my personal struggle and the lessons I've learned over a decade, as well as strategies for putting together your porn reboot plan and ending your compulsive behavior with pornography or masturbation. So click on the link in the description below this video. The third way is if you're not sure where to start, but you'd like to learn more about my team and I, if you'd like to spend time with like-minded professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners, guys who work in sales, consulting, or high-level jobs, men who are controlling their behavior, then join our free and confidential group, the Porn Reboot group on Facebook. There's also a link to join in the description below this video. And finally, if you need help right now because you have a burning issue, your behavior with pornography is hurting you mentally, you're about to lose your relationship, you want to live up to your potential, you want to be an authentic man and free yourself from shame, guilt, and underachieving, click on the link in the description below this video that says free coaching call, or visit elevatedrecovery.org and click on the link which says book a call.